Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Exorcist, Season 1, Episode 9. It's called Chapter 9, 162. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. It's been a couple of weeks since we had the last one, and we ended in that big cliffhanger where Regan had once again been possessed by, and they name him in this episode, Pazuzu.
Yeah, you've been speculating for a few episodes now.
Yeah, if they were actually going to use the name, but no, they came right out and said it this week.
Yep.
And a fantastic scene, no less.
I think most of this episode was pretty fantastic scenes.
I agree. I think that one stood out to me more, just maybe a little bit more than a lot of the other ones. I feel like Gina Davis is starting to get a lot to do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we spoke at the start of the show of how she felt so wasted, and that is clearly not the case anymore.
No. She was lying in wait. She was just waiting for her moments here, because
You have to imagine they showed us some scripts of later on and go, look, we promise you're going to have stuff to do.
yeah, because obviously she is now Pazuzu. We don't actually Regan / Angela isn't really there. It's Pazuzu in control, and everything she does in this episode is really creepy, really powerful. The scene where they do mention Pazuzu when she shows up to the meeting, with Father Simon and everyone else. Maria's there, and she comes in, and the police chief's already aware that it's not her anymore, because he was at the house and he touched her hand and he had the sort of the we'll call it the demon flash, and she comes in and she makes all the other demons bow, and I say bow, they get on the floor and they basically plank. She makes all plank.
He goes, oh, with all due respect, this is like my thing. I've done this, and she's like, well, clearly you don't know respect if you still stood up.
Yeah, and they all lie down, and Simon has to get down and kisses her shoe, and Maria's about to just do it voluntarily because she's a human still, and she just lays into her do you want to know why you've never been chosen? It's the smell.
It's really insulting.
Yeah, she just tears her apart.
You smell too bad for a demon.
Yeah, she just tears her down so much, and Maria looks devastated. It's glorious stuff, but I mean, it's not that Gina Davis has been bad up until now, but I feel like this is the first episode where I'm like, oh damn, she's bringing it.
Yeah, like I say, it's not that she's been bad, she's just not been given the stuff to do. Whereas this time it was, nah, here you go, have fun with it.
And the fact is, it's not even like anyone else suffers as a result. Almost everyone else is elevated by what's going on. I love that Casey can tell. She just knows, pretty quickly, that there's something not right. And she's obviously dealing with her guilt. Cat catches her looking at the news reports of the ambulance drivers and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she's obviously going through a lot. But the fact that she can tell, and I love that the scene where it kind of becomes apparent to her is when she tries to ask for advice. She's like, what did you remember, Mum, when this happened to you? And everything she says just...
It's completely opposite.
It just tingles through, yeah. In fact, this episode was actually kind of funny in places. There was a couple of moments early on where I really laughed. It was at the start when they're at dinner table and Tomas is over for dinner and they're saying grace and all the rest of it, and Kat thanks a bunch of people, says that thanks for father, for Tomas, for sisters and all that, and Regan, should I say Regan, should I say Pazuzu?
I don't think it really matters. We know what we're on about.
But Regan comes in and says amen and takes a drink, and there's a pause for a second, and Kat goes, and her grandma who died. And I just burst out laughing. I had to pause it. I was laughing so hard.
That was really funny.
Yeah, it was really, really funny. Oh dear. Her entire attitude to Chrissy's death was actually kind of funny, to be honest. And that sounds really morbid, but it was the way Pazuzu is taking glee in all of this, and he's clearly enjoying everything right now. He's loving it.
It's half taking glee and half pretending it didn't even happen. Nope, she's not dead. Nothing wrong here. Just carry on.
Yeah. No, really, really strong stuff through it, and I think it's completely shifted dynamic to the show, but she's scary. When they're all when Casey realizes and she catches, Regan Pazuzu touching Kat inappropriately when she's asleep, You know, like you can tell she knows. And I thought she was going to go and see Tomas at one point, but instead she wakes everyone up in the middle of the night. And you know, Henry believes it because we have that extremely awkward, almost sex scene.
Yeah.
You know, with the choking, which you know clearly he's disturbed by, and they're all whispering and they're going to leave the house, and you're like, this is futile.
It's like, you know, this is just going to go wrong at any second.
We've seen just how powerful
the
demon is. And by the way, I actually love, see when it flashes back at the start when the commissioner touches her, and we see the moment where actually she accepts, you know, take me instead. That moment.
Yeah.
I love the head turn is Pazuzu physically just like with her head and turning it. Like for some reason that makes it so much cooler to me. That
it is.
Everyone can't see him, but that's what's happening. He's just physically going like that with her head.
It makes sense as like, why didn't you think of it before? Because we've always seen all this other stuff. When it's in her perspective, we've seen the demon doing it. And it's like, so of course it's what's doing it to her head as well. But,
no, it works so well. And and the fact that I don't think it comes off as cheap. You get that she would eventually say this, you know, take me instead. You get that she would plead for her daughter like that.
Yeah, it's desperation.
It's almost surprising she hasn't done it already. Like it's almost as soon as she realised she didn't start shouting it, you know, immediately. You know, if anything, that would be the complaint. I'm not complaining, but
no, she took all the steps she could have done, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, obviously.
She tried the priest. She tried all sorts, and then it was like, no, this is final desperate act. Like, there's nothing else left.
And it's funny because I was almost expecting them to draw this out a bit more. Like, you know, like maybe they wouldn't know obviously we've only got one episode left now, but you know, maybe it would linger into a season 2. You know, would they end with just a glimpse of maybe someone knows, and you know, Pazuzu's keeping quiet, he's keeping secret. But no, it's almost like he's goading them to find out. Like he's goading them to spot it, you know?
Yeah, like you say, could have easily kind of kept it and played the first even half or third of season 2 as her wreaking havoc behind the scenes, and having the mystery of, oh, hang on, she is still possessed.
But no, by the end of the episode, she's got that entire family all like locked in place on the couches and the settee and whatever, and you know, she's threatening them and she's strangling Casey to like make sure the others won't betray her, or you know, insubordination, I think maybe is the word she used, you know. Or obedience, maybe was the other word, but you know, this idea that you're basically now my slave. You're my human little, you know, pathetic slaves. Yeah. Because I actually thought I was again opening up the mythology of the show a little bit. The reason why the demons even want to be on Earth. This idea that God created them, then created man with Earth, but when they created the demons, who you know, as far as mythology goes, the idea is that they're fallen angels, typically.
Generally speaking, yeah.
So, like, the idea that when he created them, he never gave them a place, you know?
Yeah, they just had the ethereal.
Yeah. And, like, no, you have physical things, you have tangible enjoyment. I mean, you even see it with Simon. Like, Simon's in his posh apartment, and he's, like, drinking back champagne and eating shrimp. You know, like, and he's, like...
Because he can.
He's living the high life, and he's, like... And we know that's a demon. We see his pupils, you know, at one point in the episode. We know it's not just...
I don't think we really needed the pupils to be aware of that, but...
We could have maybe speculated, though, well, maybe not from the other scenes in the episode, but I mean before this episode, you could have speculated that he was maybe more like Maria, where he was still a human, but he was worshipping and wanting to be, you know. But nah, like we see that, and so just her, just this reign of terror, and she, like, see when she goes to the nuns, Sister Bernadette, that death, so brutal, and we lose the Regals in this episode. They've been assassinated by the church. By the way, Father Marcus, I am hereby going to refer to as Father Punisher, because him beating the crap out of Simon and then like blessing the water, turning it into holy water in the bath, and then like basically waterboarding him with holy water. Badass.
Man, that was so cool, and I love the burning of his face.
Yeah.
Like, man, it was so effective.
Yeah, really good. I mean, if we have lost Bennett, and it hurts me that we've lost, because he was a badass too.
Yeah, but we got someone stepping up in the badass role.
Yeah, Marcus is kick arse for the Lord, I believe is the phrase that I like to quote from Brain Dead.
Aye.
Famous Peter Jackson movie, really. But no, he's stepping into that role, and that was... He was doing a lot of like shadowy detective work in this one as well, like peeking around corners and...
Yeah, it was always just a step behind.
Yeah. He's figuring things out, and I like that he finds out about because obviously he finds the bodies of everyone actually, but he finds the bodies of the nuns, and it's Simon actually says, no, that was Angela, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
So he finds out about Regan, and obviously Tomas finds out as well in his own way from the book, and he sort of pieces it together himself.
Yeah, I like this idea of God working through the dad. Even if it isn't actually God, although for the sake of this show, could well be in its mythology. But if it's not, if it's just something else, I like the idea that that's kind of going on, because obviously it was what started all this off. We saw it right back in episode 1 or 2.
Yeah,
quite early on.
It was episode 1. It was how Tomas found Marcus.
Yeah, exactly, and. But now seeing it kind of come back in, and it wasn't just a throwaway thing, I think is quite effective.
I think I'd almost like to speculate that it's not God per se. It's more just some, like, I don't want to say angel. I feel like angel it almost feels goofy when you start talking about angels and demons and you start using those terms. But just, the idea that there's like a good version of a demon, like, trying to like help. Like, it's something's trying to look out for them.
Yeah.
I think the danger there is, though, is that you like, why can't they help more? If the demons can do all this chaos in the real world where they're assassinating people and...
Well, I think if it was God, there is no good answer for that. You'd think, just intervene. Whereas if it's an angel, at least I can think, they don't want to physically come because they'll be tempted and they'll have the same fate and they'll end up falling. So they have to be subtle about it.
Maybe even the idea that the angel, if it is sort of latched onto this family, it's because it knows that Regan will be pursued, and maybe he's always been there to try and help, or so, that kind of thing. Like,
yeah, maybe it's a leftover from when she was a child.
Yeah, that kind of thing, which is really neat, and it builds again that history that the show's been kind of building with the movie and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, some other subplots in this episode is that Marcus is offered this new position. He's got a promotion. He's taken over a much bigger church and a much more rich... Sorry, did I say Marcus? Tomas. Much bigger church, much more rich area,
Yeah.
And even the bishop's joking about how how his living quarters will be much better than his and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And do you know what I thought was a really cool little moment in that scene, though, when he's selling him on this promotion? He's like, yeah, Jessica's husband already came by, and we can deal with that. We've dealt with much worse. And I'm like...
That's kind of really a dark joke.
It is a really dark joke, yeah.
Yeah, I was like... That like, literally took me aback when they said that. I was like, damn, you're going there.
Yeah, because, it's not... it was just last Oscar season that Spotlight came out. I seen that movie. It was a good movie. Very informative.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's... Sure, it may not be alluding to that, but the implication is there of what they know that's what the audience will think.
Yeah. They know where our minds are going to jump with that.
Yeah, and that's a bold choice.
It's funny actually that this entire show, as much as obviously for this show to work, obviously it presents the idea that God's real, demons are real, and all this like force of darkness and force of good fighting each other. This all has to be real for this show to happen. This is the whole point. But at the same time, it's not like it's not just like blindly turning an eye to the church. Like, it is very critical, and it almost treats the church like it is a corrupt organization. Yeah, like even Marcus says to Tomas when he finds out about the promotion and he's talking to him about it, he's like, the higher you go up, there'll be more try to take you down.
Maybe it's not so much like that. I don't know, but historically, the Pope was the leader of an army. It wasn't always a good organization in that sense. That they've done shady things, like on that sort of scale. So No,
I just think it's. I wasn't something I was expecting from the show.
No, I also like how, even though for the show to work, like you say, it has to present these things as real, but there are still people who doubt. There are people who don't have faith and those who do, and it's very much like the real world in that sense, and that kind of grounds it. Yeah.
But I think first of all, it gives us a lot of plot, because it gives us the idea that the church has to there's bad priests and there's good priests and there's all this going on, and it gives us I don't want to say espionage, but like almost espionage.
It leans into it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Almost like, we've been watching Incorporated on Sci-Fi, which is about someone infiltrating a company. You could almost argue that Marcus is like unveiling the church as a company's secrets. It's dirty laundry and it's finding these things.
Yeah, you have to imagine season 2 would be him trying to position Tomas to move up the ranks and infiltrate.
I could see it.
Because obviously, as far as they're concerned, Tomas is getting a promotion. Like they say, he's moving up. He's getting a bigger church in a better area. That's the first step up the ladder. So using him as a pawn, as a infiltration, and actually really lean into that espionage could be interesting.
Yeah, could be. It also makes me wonder what the Rance family are doing in season 2, but we'll see how the finale.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be something there.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see how the finale wraps things up. I have a feeling it won't be too neat of an ending. I think there will be a.
I think they're banking on a second season.
I think we'll get some sort of cliffhanger.
And I know the ratings haven't been amazing, but I really hope it gets a second season.
Nah, not amazing. However, Fox on a Friday night's never really that amazing, so I'm hoping, it falls into
they'll go,
that.
yeah, it's a bit soft, but it's got some critical acclaim, and they'll kind of just run with it for a bit. Maybe promote it a bit more. I
think another 10-episode season, this same half of the year, because that means it runs through Halloween, which is the perfect time to promote it. I think it's maybe the wise choice there. But no, I think this was a really good episode. I think all of the Angela possession stuff, if that had fallen flat at this point, it would have kind of deflated all the season in retrospect, because, this is what he's building to the entire time, and then it just ends up being kind of meh. No, everything with her being evil in this episode was just phenomenally watched. Gina Davis has done a great job with it, and everyone else, like I said, is elevated by it. Casey finally gets to be her own character again.
Yeah.
And that makes her more interesting.
I also say the actress did a very good job of differentiating between when she's possessed and now she's normal. Like, when she was there,
but she's
fighting
still, she's still distraught though. She's not, because you said normal, and I would argue that she's not normal. But she's,
when I meant normal, I just meant herself, not non-possessed. But she's a very good job of separating these two personalities, so we can see which parts of her that we saw before were actually her.
Yeah, part of me almost hopes that season 2 goes a bit more pulpy, right? And the Kat and Casey, maybe both parents die in the finale. This is pure speculation, by the way. I'm not spoiling anything for anyone who thinks I have inside knowledge. And they're left.
No one would think you have inside knowledge.
Oh, thanks for that. But they team up with Marcus, who gets a badass sort of crucifix style skull logo that's like a cross between the church and the Punisher.
So we're going war against the church.
And they team up. And Tomas is the inside man.
I'd kind of be down for that.
Yeah.
It'd be different, but I'd be down for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to whale speculation though. But no, this was a really good episode.
It was.
So the finale's next week. We'll see how that shapes up. So thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.